to have a dialogue.
How many more kids, Olivia? How many more kids?
Okay. I think we are.
We are peaceful protesters.
Anyway, I'm trying to have a dialogue by telling this guy to get the hell out of here because you're ruining my spotlight.
Disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. So it looks like Toronto Mayor's Olivia Chow is set on a mission. Is she going to fight crime in the streets of Toronto? Is she going to deal with the housing crisis? Is she finally coming to terms to realize that the city is getting worse and worse and is going to reshape it for the better? Well, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is leading a trade mission in Ireland and the UK. A Toronto mayor is over in the European countries to figure a trade negotiation between the European nations and Canada, apparently. Not dealing with Toronto, which you are the mayor of Toronto, hence you have the responsibility of Toronto. But no, we're going to jet set to Ireland and the UK to beg for a trade deal because your ignorance to the United States is so overwhelming that it's destroying even more of the prosperity you hope to envision with the elbows up movement. It's wow. So this is from CTV News. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is planning to put a spotlight on the city's film and screen industry during her upcoming trade mission to the UK and Ireland. Chow announced that on Saturday that along with members of Toronto's film and television industry, she'll be traveling to Dublin and London from July 6th to 12th and meeting with production companies and broadcasters. At a time of historic uncertainty, reliable trade partners have never been more important, said Mayor Olivia Chow in a statement. This trade mission is about supporting more economic opportunities for Toronto workers and businesses, including export diversification and foreign direct investment attraction. According to a news release from the city, the mayor is hoping to increase Canadian content through co-production treaties with the two countries during her visit. In Dublin, the mayor will meet with the Ireland Canadian Business Association, Enterprise Ireland executives, and explore funding partnerships opportunities through Horizon Europe and CEDAR. How do you say it? CEDAR? Ireland's Center for AI, the release said. So, help me understand this. The mayor of Toronto is fleeing her city as it continues to be in ruins, goes over to Ireland and the UK to help with the fight on broadcasting and film, but then goes and partners with the AI agency of Ireland. I thought Hollywood, that's why they protested, right? They protested because everything was going AI. AI was going to replace the actors and voicing and everything. We were so certain that we had to be against it. Now, Olivia Chow is helping support that. She's going over there to bend the knee towards the AI agency in Ireland, instead of just bringing jobs to Toronto. How's this going to help our industry that you're going to go over to a foreign country and use their AI technology? How is that going to support Canadians and their jobs and productions when it's going to be computer generated? How is that helping? Meanwhile, in London, Chow was scheduled to participate in a roundtable with the UK-Canada Chamber of Commerce to promote trade opportunities in Toronto. The mayor will also have bilateral meetings with Dublin Lord Mayor Ray McAdam and London Mayor Sir Saquin Khan. This mission will also provide opportunities for city-to-city knowledge exchange about solutions to common urban policy challenges, including housing and transportation. Of course, and you go to two of the European countries that are dealing with their crisis still. Like, it doesn't dawn on Olivia Chow to go to a place like Finland that brags about how it resolved homelessness like that, it doesn't dawn people to say, Finland was able to do that very quickly and cost efficiently. Maybe we should go over there and understand what they did. Maybe we could take that opportunity and bring that back to our city. That would actually be more effective than going to London and Dublin and sculping down some warm beers talking about AI. And we know how disasterly it is right now in the UK, right now in London and Dublin. You know, it's a little better than the UK, I would say, in that respect, but it's not as great as it once was. So again, how does this really benefit the people in Toronto that are demanding? The whole purpose of them thinking that Olivia Chow was going to really represent them and why she became mayor was not only being the widow wife of the former late NDP leader Jack Layton, but also thinking that she was going to bring these measures. She was going to bring measures to Toronto that a lot of the quote unquote, I guess the general word would be capitalists, the higher ups, the people that live on Bay Street, freaked out about and said, oh my God, we're going to, provide Torontonians access to affordable groceries. Oh my God, how devastating that is. And look at her time now. Look at all the time she's been mayor of Toronto after John Tory, after the disaster of the former administrations. Now she's the mayor. And it's not gotten any better. She's in more outings, I guess. She attended the Pride Parade. She went to the Salsa Festival in Toronto. So she's attending more public events, but that doesn't mean it makes things better. And this is what I mean by that. So here's Canada Proud stating that should Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow spend less time dancing and do something about Toronto's skyrocketing crime? So she's known to go to these public outings, to have a little fun, to dance around on stage. And while people think that, yeah, it's very, kind and supportive that a Toronto mayor is willing to interact with the public, it doesn't mean that the policies reflect the same way. She's not actually there for the public's reasoning. She's there to hype herself. She's there as a PR stunt to make her look like she's incorporating herself with the general public. And watch this. So, as she's dancing, Toronto police issue safety alerts. Man sought for incident act at Toronto hotel. Police crack down on sophisticated Toronto organized crime groups. Women targeted in suspected hate-motivated assaults. 23-year-old man charged after several women assaulted. Toronto's crime rates. Hold on. Gotta go back. Went too fast. This is Blog TO. Toronto's crime rate soars 40% above New York. Above New York. I used to look at New York as a Canadian. I used to look at New York as like the haven of crime. Either that or Southside Chicago. That used to be the havens of crime. And you look at Toronto as like, oh, at least Toronto isn't as bad as that. But now Toronto is worse. Worse. And their mayor of Toronto is dancing on stage, attending these frivolous events while this is still continuing. So all of this is just a PR stunt. All of this is a PR stunt. It's not actually there to be there for the public. She's not incorporating herself as being part of Toronto. She's there as a stunt to make her look like it. This is very much like almost like an AOC or Pete Buttigieg moment. Remember, he was the mayor of, I think it was South Bend, Indiana, and he always bragged about it. As the mayor of South Bend, I did great opportunity for the community. I did great. He always bragged about it when he was running for president. he completely destroyed the city. He completely destroyed that city. And he destroyed it so much that the Biden administration gave him the job of transportation secretary. So that's what I'm assuming is coming from this, is that, hey, if I dance on stage, if I act all kooky and, colorful and cheerful for the Toronto crowd, that maybe down the line, I can climb the career ladder and work for, the provincial government or the federal government because of how kooky I am, while deliberately destroying the said city you're supposed to be representing. This is from Wall Street Mave, pointing out that this is downtown Toronto. This is the tent encampments, one of many in downtown Toronto, because the housing crisis in Canada is spreading fast, and a surge in tent cities is popping up all over, like this one in Toronto. So these are in public parks, by the way. These are in public parks where, we're in summertime, kids want to go outside, they want to hang out with their friends. How do you think parents are going to react? How do you think parents are going to feel sending their youngsters at one time or another that they can go to the park with their friends and play and not be worried about their safety, and experiencing stuff like this? So you can see, that's just one park. Look at that. And it's not safe. It's not safe for the public. It's not even safe for them. And we have seen just recently, being close to Toronto, watching, Toronto news, there have been many tent cities and many instances where homeless encampments have been caught on fire. And there's damages. There is infrastructure damages. So none of this is helping. None of this is helping. While Olivia Chow, the mayor of Toronto, is dancing on stage or now attending conferences in Europe based to represent the film and television industry. Notice how they didn't mention an executive from the Toronto film industry, but Olivia Chow is going to go over there to represent them. And she goes to the AI agency in Dublin. So it's not really helping Torontonians or people in that industry whatsoever. It's more just a calculative attempt. I'm sure she's thought about climbing that career ladder. And if she makes herself look kooky and, colorful and cheerful and, oh, I'm really in it for the people of Toronto, that maybe she can get a higher position elsewhere. Because you look at the city, you look at the direction it's going, this is not going to be a win for her legacy being the mayor of Toronto. Here's another example. This is from the Post Millennial. So you remember when Olivia Chow was holding a skating party. This is back in January of last year. She held a skating party as kind of a celebratory measure for Torontonians and for her being the mayor. And a bunch of Palestine activists came to the skating event and protested. And Olivia Chow responded in kind of the most mealy-mouthed neoliberal establishment way, where she just basically said, well, I agree with you, and I agree with your message. Now, cops get in there and beat the crap out of them. Instead of taking that message, realizing that a lot of Torontonians agree with that message. They agreed that their taxes should not be served to serve the needs of a foreign country and their total annihilation of another country, and maybe put that towards fixing the housing problems, like the tent cities all across the city. She completely ignores that. So watch the response to this.
I do agree. You see my message about ceasefire, right? So why don't you let me continue? Anyway, today we are told that I belong. Well, this is what you see is democracy in action. And I'll just keep going.
So you can tell she's very nervous about it. She's very nervous, and the only thing she can say is, well, that's democracy in action for you. Not, hey, I feel your pain. I know what's happening over there. That maybe our taxes should not be going towards foreign wars. That, hey, maybe I should take that message to someone like Doug Ford, who's in Queen's Park, which Queen's Park is conveniently located in Toronto. So it's not hard to pass the message along. No, I'm just going to stand there and make myself look foolish. This is, again, very much like a Mayor Pete Buttigieg, AOC kind of character, where she has the appearance of looking like a regular Torontonian and by your side. At the same point, her policies do not reflect that.
Anyway, being able to stay here.
Increasing food inspection. Do you have any kind of comment?
Hey, sir, you know what?
The city councilor still. The 24 city councilor.
Guys, can you make a little bit of room? Go first.
Fucking quiet.
Hamas?
And that, yeah.
You
So
condemn
I
Hamas?
also,
What a
so
joke.
Great.
anyway,
condemn the
you had,
innocent
yeah.
Israeli
So
Palestinians
I'm
being
trying to
killed.
have a
How many more
dialogue.
kids, Olivia? How many more kids?
Okay, I think we are.
We are peaceful protesters.
Anyway, I'm trying to have a dialogue by telling this guy to get the hell out of here because you're ruining my spotlight. I'm trying to communicate with them, but I need to do this press conference. I need to make myself look good in front of City News and CP24 and CTV, and the media's out there, so I got to make myself look good. It's literally an embarrassment of the city at this point. So you remember when Olivia Chow was running for mayor, Doug Ford used to be against her. Doug Ford used to go on and say that, Toronto would be making a mistake to hire Olivia Chow, this, seemingly socialist girl, the widow of the former NDP leader, that this is going to be very crazy. It's going to turn Toronto upside down. Now, Dougie Dunce Ford has turned a complete 180. So the woman that was apparently going to be a nightmare for Toronto, and it turns out he was actually correct, because Olivia Chow did not follow on her socialist promises, but kept on the status quo of completely annihilating Toronto. Doug Ford is now supportive of her. Isn't that interesting? Almost like there's a connection. Almost like they were told to love each other because it's good for their careers. Almost like that, hey, once Doug Ford is done from the premiership, say if he wants to run for the leader of the Conservative Party, which was hinted and speculated by the Federal Conservative Party that, oh, what if Doug Ford took over Pierre Poilievre? Doug Ford is going to pander to someone like Olivia Chow. Even though he knows Toronto is in ruins. Olivia Chow knows that Toronto is in ruins. Everybody is aware of this. But no, we're going to fabricate this heady relationship because it's good for the aesthetics of our political careers. So here's Doug Ford announcing on stage that he loves Olivia Chow because she promises to build housing. But if you look at the record, that's not the case.
You have certain mayors in certain towns and cities that absolutely refuse to build. They aren't building a doghouse. They aren't building a garage. And we all know it. And the builders. If I had 20 builders, they would go bang, 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 bang. These are the cities. And then you have great cities and great mayors like Mayor Chow here that's saying, we're going to build. We're going to build as quickly as possible because we need the housing. So that's the way the system's working. And some are building and some absolutely refuse to build. I've been through this. So we're going to work with the ones that want to build. They're going to get the money. The other ones aren't going to get the money, and so be it. You have certain mayors and
Now, someone tell me that looks natural to you. That's a natural relationship. Oh, it's such a great city like Toronto and such great mayors like Olivia Chow. That doesn't sound like an organic relationship. That doesn't sound like a good friendship right there. That sounds very much rehearsed. Almost like someone told Doug Ford and Olivia Chow, hey, stop this. Be nice to each other. It's good for your political careers if you want to continue squandering down and going after and completely demonizing the rest of Ontario. You want to continue that career, you're going to have to pander to each other and make it look like you're such good buddies. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm now supportive of Olivia Chow because she's saying build. And right now she's jet setting to European nations on tax dollars from Toronto to pretend to save the film industry by pandering to the AI market. It's literally a complete joke. It is literally a complete joke. And what's so interesting about this, so that particular video came out June 6, 2025. Literally 2 days later, this came out. This is from CTV News. Toronto housing among least affordable on this global index. Here's what experts say needs to change. So, a new global index suggests Toronto is among the world's worst cities when it comes to housing affordability, as experts blame decades of policy missteps, development delays, and overwhelming population demand for the problem. The 2025 Global Cities Index from Oxford Economics finds that as a result of Toronto's expensive real estate market, residents spend more of their income on housing than residents of nearly every other city in the world. I wonder if Olivia Chow is going to pick up on that when she's doing her, vastly world tour. I wonder if she's going to pick up on that. While the federal government recently promised to eliminate the GST on first-time home purchases under $1 million, critics argued that restrictive housing policies, costly development charges, and sluggish approvals have created a market that's out of reach for most buyers. The average price of a home in Toronto area did decline 4% year over year in May, but still stood at more than $1.1 million, according to the latest data from the Toronto Region Real Estate Board. Over the past 20 years, Toronto's population has grown by 35%, but affordable housing hasn't kept up. The result? Life is getting too expensive for families. Mayor Olivia Chow said during a press conference on Friday, young people are giving up on the dream of home ownership. So again, she's saying the right words. She knows the problem's out there. She ain't going to fix it. Which I find that I feel more anger towards that than someone that has no idea what the problems are. Because if someone, and this goes to even the federal government, I'd rather have someone that I know is going to stab me in the back than someone pretending to be my friend than stab me in the back. I'd rather have that because then I know what's coming. With Olivia Chow, she's going to say the right words. That's going to pander to a lot of Torontonians to say, oh, this woman seems serious. She's going to actually do something about it. And then, bam, won't actually do it. Because she's there for the ride. She's there for careers. She's there for climbing up that political ladder herself. The city of Toronto has a program where it will defer development fees for some projects so long as at least 20% of its units are affordable. However, demand for the program has far exceeded the city's ability to fund it, and as a result, Chow says that there are projects totaling 300,000 new units from about 70 different developers that are shovel-ready and just sitting there in the pipeline waiting for funding from other levels of government. In Toronto alone, development fees can add up to more than $100,000 to the cost of a new home, and in some areas, the GTA development fees can easily double that, says Frank Clayton, senior research fellow at Toronto Metropolitan University. Prime Minister Mark Carney has previously promised to help municipalities reduce those fees by 50% through additional payments that could be distributed by the provinces through. He has not provided a timeline for those investments. So all these false promises, all these false equivalencies. Oh, we're going to fund housing. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to make Canada so good. America's going to be so jealous of us. They're going to be begging to cut down those tariffs once we see how great this country is going to strive under someone like Mark Carney and Olivia Chow and Premier Doug Ford. We just don't know when it's coming. We just don't know when it's coming or if it's ever going to happen. Go figure. Go figure in the world of politics. So it goes on to say, if a municipality takes $200,000 up front, developers got to increase their prices, such as that $200,000 is reflected ultimately in the price of the house. Clayton said, builders won't build unless they can cover their costs. Clayton identifies three key culprits behind Toronto's crisis: high fees, restrictive planning rules, and relentlessness demand, the latter driven in part by immigration. Last year alone, nearly 300,000 newcomers arrived in the region, fueling further housing pressure. And what have I been saying about immigration? It's a simple numbers. It's a simple numbers game. That you cannot have a high increase to a population so quickly without the necessary services provided to cover that. That's why it is impossible for small communities to incorporate all these newcomers and not have the necessary availability of services like hospitals and schools and other services for all these people that are coming in that don't know how to incorporate themselves with the Canadian culture. So this is what's ultimately the biggest disaster. And this I find more of a priority to deal with, because as Toronto is continuing to expand with all these newcomers, and as things are becoming more and more unaffordable, like housing, like groceries, like anything for the cost of living is becoming more and more unaffordable, how do you think that's going to reflect for industries like the broadcast industry, like the film and television development? How do you think that's going to take effect when, investors look at a place like Toronto and say, "Hey, I want to develop a film here," and they look at how high cost everything is, how there's tent cities all across these great public parks of Toronto, and crime has skyrocketed, the cost of living has skyrocketed, it has become way too unaffordable, so much so that New York City, which was one of the top of the chain, is no longer as worse as Toronto is now. So it is an absolute devastation. And the fact that Olivia Chow would rather go all the way to Ireland and the UK, ignoring those problems to try to fix the film industry, when really it's just a vacation for her to hang out with people of AI, is just an absolute slap in the face to Torontonians. This woman is an absolute slap in the face. And it just goes to show you that how corrupted the institutions like the mayor's office of Toronto, like Parliament, Queen's Park in the provincial sector, and the federal government is so immensely corrupted that someone like Olivia Chow, who reigned to fame on, name recognition, mostly from being the widow wife of Jack Layton, and also having these, messages, messages and ideals of supporting Toronto, and we were going to, change things for the better. And then she got in, and then guess what happened? She turned into the average pseudo politician that goes on stage, pretends to pander to you while deliberately stabbing you in the back multiple times. And that, to me, I find more disgusting in this game of politics than someone I know who's going to stab me in the back. Because at least I can prepare myself. At least I know what's coming to me. As for someone like her, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. But given her record, I can kind of take some chances. I can take some guesses.